You saw the tombstone at the very top of the block there, and his middle name, Aaron, was spelled A-A-R-O-N.
On the tombstone,
now,
yes.
Gail, you say that there's a discrepancy there.
Yeah, and again, I'm not getting in a debate about this. I'm just saying that the high school diploma has A-R-O-N, the death certificate has A-R-O-N.
Has one A, A-R-O-N.
One A. We have a copy of his handwriting.
Couldn't that just be a simple mistake?
Well, his own handwriting is 1A.
All right, we have a picture of his signature there.
That's
there
his
it
actual signature.
Right.
There's a great deal of historical data on the naming of Elvis Aaron Presley. It was sort of a mirror image because he was had a twin brother that was G-A-R-O-N.
So wait, so you're saying that because the tombstone is misspelled, that means he's still alive?
No, I'm just saying that it's very strange that on the tombstone, even his corporation is Aaron Music. I ask why is it spelled with a double A?
Okay, why?
On the I don't know. I'm asking why. Why would you think it?
I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, but why do you think?
All right. Here's one answer. If he's alive, superstition would warrant that you might not put the actual name. Maybe he is not alive. He's buried elsewhere. Maybe it was just a genuine mistake.
Bill, what are your feelings on that?
Well, I brought up the question to his father, Vernon Presley, about a year after, and after the tombstone was in place and everything, and I said, why is it A-A-R-O-N? And he said, well, at the time Elvis was born, I was sort of, not as intelligent as I am today, paraphrasing, and he said, I don't want people to think I'm stupid, and I put the A-A-R-O-N on there. In fact, when Elvis was born, and they asked him, they asked Vernon, what you named the child, and he said, Elvis Aaron. They said, how you spell it? And he said, A-R-O-N, because he actually thought that's the way Aaron was supposed to be spelled. However, the doctor knew better, and the doctor put on the birth certificate A-A-R-O-N. Now, I would assume that Elvis and Vernon Presley went through life never looking at that birth certificate to see that it was actually A-A-R-O-N.
So his real name is spelled then
It is spelled on the birth certificate as A-A-R-O-N.
How do you dispute that, Gail?
Well, however, the birth certificate that is used as a souvenir at Graceland has the single A. Also, the card that was sent out to the fans expressing, thank you for your sympathy, is A-R-O-N. Elvis signed A-R-O-N. When you go to Graceland, the sign outside of Graceland says, welcome to the home of Elvis A-R-O-N Presley. I'll go with what Elvis said. I will go with his signature. Now, there's another thing, and Bill just brought up a few minutes ago, the placement of the grave is very, very interesting. Everybody that knows anything about Elvis Presley knows he's very close to his mother. And in fact, when he was in the mausoleum, they put Gladys in the mausoleum. They took her from one place to another to lay beside him. Yet, when they moved the graves to Graceland, they laid Elvis, they laid Gladys. All right, they were side by side. When Vernon died, common sense says you would have put Vernon on the other side of Elvis. Elvis should rest between his mother and his father because he wanted to be near his mother. That's not the way it is at Graceland. Vernon is between Gladys and Elvis. Elvis rests between Vernon Presley and Minnie Mae, his grandmother. That, to me, is significant, too. I don't know if it means he's alive, but I'm just saying it's very significant.
You just like to stir up all this stuff here, Gail, don't you?
No, I think you told me to say this real quick.
No, but I mean, it just seems like you want to present a lot, but you don't want to commit yourself as to whether or not Elvis is alive or dead.
I'll tell you why I don't, Jerry. It's just that I feel because of the documentation should stand on its own, and I think I'd be more suspect if I wasn't remaining a bit objective. I'm like L.H. Williams. If I were to bet, I would probably say there's more evidence to suggest he may. Even the he may be alive. Okay. Now, let's look at it this way. Historians, maybe 100 years from now, will look back. Do you know the death certificate in itself is dated October of '77, not August '77. We also have checked with a man from the IRS who said I can subpoena him in a court of law, but no insurance was collected. On the
you know what, though? I mean, wait a second. Who was in the coffin then? Who was in the casket?
Well, many people, and in fact, a friend of Bill's, another journalist, did not feel it was Elvis in the coffin and felt it was a wax dummy. You've heard that before.
Well, she didn't say it was a wax dummy. To me, at the time in 1977, however, she did think that he looked awful white. I said, I've never seen a corpse in a casket yet that looked like the day before he's in Miami Beach. Mm-hmm. But Gail says in her book, which I think is a discrepancy also, is that you bring up the question that there are nobodies in those graves that actually, in fact, they are in the mausoleum. Well, I happened to peep in the mausoleum just recently, and there's nobody in there. Nobody.
Mm-hmm. So they're in the ground.
they're not in a mausoleum.
Yeah. I had raised a question.
You're being real careful, Bill. aren't you?
I haven't been under the ground, so
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
we're going to take your calls, your questions about this. What do you think? You think this is all a bunch of bunk? Or do you, yes? Okay. Well, we're going to take your calls and your questions on whether or not you think Elvis Presley is still alive right after this.
This year, summer starts.
Do you think that Elvis Presley is still alive? I think it's dwindling, Gail. It's dwindling. How many think that he's dead? All right. A lot of Elvis fans here in the audience today, and I want to talk to just one of them over here. Mary Moran, stand up. Mary is a fan. I mean, she brought us paintings, pictures, dolls, bears, Elvis radios, you name it, Mary has got it.
Yeah,
and Mary, first of all, wait, I just want to ask you, do you put the pictures down, just put everything down. Based on what you've heard and what you've seen so far this morning, do you think Elvis Presley's still alive?
No.
Emphatically.
Emphatically. Until I see him in front of me in the flesh, he is not alive.
Who do you think's on that tape?
I don't know who's on it, but it's not Elvis.
What do you think of the picture that you saw? Can we bring that picture back? The picture of Elvis in the...
That is not Elvis Presley in my book.
No?
Until I see him right in the flesh, right in front of me, or on a stage and know it's Elvis, he is not alive.
So what do you say to Gail Giorgio up there?
I'm telling her right to her face, he's not alive.
She told me that backstage.
You're darn right.
A lot of people say
You
he's not
gotta
alive.
prove it to
Right.
me.
Sure.
I'm
What,
Irish.
what kind of proof? what kind of proof do you need?
Or should I, just say the world's flat?
No, you bring up a good point. I mean, it does
Okay.
raise a question.
I mean, would you bring it? I mean, Jerry, would you, if this evidence, wouldn't you wonder about it?
Oh, sure. I'm wondering here. I'm being very
Okay.
objective about this. I'm not
All
going
right.
to judge it. I'm just.
Yeah.
I'm
I know
sitting
there
here,
are
standing
totally
here.
closed minds out there.
No,
I
no, no.
realize that.
No, you
there
can't
are
have a
some
closed mind.
people that are totally open. I'm not asking to be either way. I'm saying judge. Read this first. You have to see the documents. I didn't make them up. I didn't make the tape up. I didn't change the name on the grave. I didn't mess with the medical examiner's reports or anything. There's contradictions there. Maybe there's logical answers. That's what we're asking.
All right, let's take a caller right now. Elaine from, I think you're in the Poconos, aren't you?
Yes, I sure am.
Good morning. You're on People Are Talking. What's on your mind?
Hi, I saw Miss Giorgio on the Larry King show, and on the air he told her he was skeptical of all this, and that if it was true, it would be the biggest story of the 80s, and that if she was sincere and had true proof of what she claimed, he would call his literary agent as soon as they got off the air to get her a deal with his publisher, since she's only telemarketing this. Does she have any comment on what happened with that?
Yes.
What did happen?
Yes, in fact, I didn't have a chance to tell this, but I am with a telemarketing company, and I am very proud to be with a telemarketing company. When you read the book, you'll know why I went this way. At least you get the tape this way. And in fact, Larry King's publisher did call me, and we had a very nice talk, but I am under contract with a large marketing company, and I want you people to have a chance to have the tape. Maybe it'll be out next year. Another thing, Larry King did not read any of the material, did not see the video, did not listen to the tape. He is now reading it and has invited me back on and is now saying it is compelling, it is interesting, there is something there to question. The same way with Oprah Winfrey. She has invited me back on for a whole hour because she's now reading the material. It makes a difference. I know
Well, Gail,
people
I
don't
read
have-
the material, and
Yes.
I'm still skeptical.
Of course.
Okay. Elaine, do you believe that Elvis is alive?
Well, I don't.
Okay.
Not in the least.
All right. Okay, thanks for your phone call. We're going to take more calls and more questions and comments from our audience here right after this. Come on back. Elvis Presley is with us. You know, on the tape, this voice says that he wants to do more music. He's already produced an album. Well, wait a second. I mean, if Elvis Presley is still alive and he wants to do more music, wouldn't he then be getting back into the kind of life that he tried to escape if he did, in fact, hoax his death?
You have to realize, too, in this tape that he is talking to someone on the telephone. At least that's what I was told, and we're going along with it right now. But he does say things about, he knows the secret will get out eventually. He says that he does have to do his music. He does talk about an album. Whether it's been released, I don't know. Again, we're still, you know, there's 30 minutes of him talking to someone on this tape. We've only heard a little bit. All of you really have to make your judgment.
Yeah, but I just can't believe
your judgment a little bit,
you know,
and listen.
The family would have to know about this. And first of all, has any family members talked to you about this or commented to you about this?
No.
All right. Well, there had to be family involved in this hoax if it wasn't
Well,
fact the
no,
hoax.
wait.
Friends involved in the hoax. Wouldn't this have gotten out? I mean, wouldn't we know about this?
There's been a lot of people, just like I said before, he says on the tape, a lot of people see him. He says they're shocked that he's still here, but nobody will believe it. He knows nobody will believe it. They won't believe it.
You know,
That's the way it is.
I want to tell you that Graceland, we called Graceland to get a comment on this, and this is a quote from a spokesperson, David Beckwith, with the Elvis Presley estate, and he says, of all the Elvis Presley stories, this one is too weird to justify with the response. We do not want to even give it credibility by acknowledging it. It is a cruel exploitation of Elvis Presley. We are not going to get in a position of debating whether Elvis is alive or dead. Now, that is what Graceland has to say. We want to hear from our audience. Who has any questions, comments about this? Yes?
Yes, if that was the case, if he's alive, wouldn't this be considered like a big fraud scam of all the revenues that were collected from people visiting Graceland? All the people that came from all different parts of the world. That I even read about people dying.
Do you think he's alive?
Well, I have parts of me that believe yes.
You have reason to believe that?
Yes. Well, all the evidence that was presented is true. You know, all this stuff can be altered. There's many possibilities, but there's a possibility, yes.
Then you can understand why I'm asking the questions I'm asking.
All right, we're going to take a phone call right now from Jim in Darby, Pennsylvania. Good morning. You're on People Are Talking.
Yes, Jerry?
Yes.
I've been a collector of Elvis Presley for the last 25 years. I have the world's largest collection, valued at over $1 million. And I've met Elvis several times. The reason why I'm calling is I wanted to mention to Gail that I've been to 51 concerts. And one of Elvis's last concerts on stage in Pittsburgh, in front of 16,000 people, right in the middle of the concert, Elvis stopped and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, I got a secret." And he never said what that secret was. Now, there hasn't been too many things that important for Elvis to stop a show and tell an audience that, unless something was preying on his mind. I'm kind of skeptical as far as the fact, you know, that they're bringing Elvis to life. I still believe that the man is gone, but there's at least maybe a 5% chance that he could be here. But I think within the last 10 years, a fan of Elvis Presley by now would have, you know, taken a photograph of him walking the streets or something. I just can't believe that someone doesn't have more accurate proof. I have a tendency to believe that the voice that's coming on the air that's saying that it's Elvis Presley's voice, and I believe that it's his voice, but I definitely believe that it could be possibly computerized to make him say those words.
Could it have been computerized, Gail?
No, that's totally impossible. That did come. In fact, I gave you another report. We got a second report from an electronic engineer. It has not been spliced together. They checked the stress level.
No, I'm not saying that it's spliced together.
Well, it's not computerized. It would have driven, they went through
I feel that there's enough advanced technology to feed a computer
They
voice
cannot
pattern,
fool.
and for him to bring back the words in a different sentence.
No.
Okay. All right, caller.
Can't be
Thank you, Jim, for your phone call. Bill, what can we conclude from this, if anything? I mean,
well,
you knew Elvis.
A couple of things that were brought up by Gail, and Gail asked a lot of questions, but there's no answers, and I would like to offer a couple of answers. Sure. One, about the stomach contents being destroyed before autopsy. That was not so. The stomach contents were sent to a laboratory in California and verified by another laboratory in Utah and destroyed only after that. I asked the hospital only yesterday, and they said that there was no reason or no statute that said to do it. Why the delay in the death certificate to October? And they said because it was Elvis Presley, they wanted to be sure they had all the facts before. So they're not even sure that they even issued death certificate in August, that this what is supposed to be a duplicate is actually the original.
Okay, we have a phone number. If you want more information, if you want to read these books here and judge for yourself, the most incredible Elvis Presley story ever told, the only way you can get it right now is through this telemarketing number, 1-800-338-3100. That's 1-800-338-3100. We'll be back with more on whether Elvis Presley's alive or dead right after this.